Hello everyone. Now let's start with the next topic, that is the development of surface. So in this topic we will see what is the development, why it is required, how we do development, and what are the basic terms which are related to development with few examples. So first we have to understand what is the meaning of development. So whenever we say we have to develop a surface, we can say that we are actually cutting and unfolding, unwrapping or unrolling of an object. We will take one example. Let's say we have to manufacture a rectangular box. This might be a packing box, it might be a solid with this type of surface. Now whenever I have to design this box, its dimension will be fixed. Now to manufacture this, how much material is required, how we have to bend a sheet from raw material so that we can get this type of box. If a non-technical person has to do this, what they will do, they will directly start cutting the raw material and then folding. It might have the same shape or size or a different one, but how the engineers will do, they will first develop this. In designing, they will first design this surface, this box with dimensions, then in design only they will develop this. After developing, they will came to know, they will find out the required material. I'll give an example. So this is known as development, cutting and unfolding. I have told you here what is the development, cutting and unfolding, unwrapping or unrolling. So first what we did here, we have cut the object from this edge. After cutting, we are unfolding that. So everything we do it in design only. We have no need to manufacture this and then do this. This example I have taken just to teach you, just to explain you the concept of development. After that we have to develop it like this. Now you can see all the faces. This is a square or a rectangular prism, so it is having 4 faces and one base and top. These faces are known as lateral surface. When you cut and unfold, it will be having this type of shape, and this is known as development of surface. Now we will see why we have to develop a surface. What is the need of development of surface? Now first, to find out the total surface of an object. In design, whenever we manufacture something, whenever we generate something, we have to find out what is the total surface of an object is there in design and how we are going to manufacture that. Or in that surface, what are the other features we can add or we can subtract. So all these things we need in technical field. So we have the requirement of development of surface. Second, to estimate the material requirement for manufacturing of that particular object. Now let's say we have to manufacture a mobile or any other gadget or any other automobile, a car. Now we are not going to make the car in actual and then we will decide how much material is required, how we have to build this. No, what the technical engineer will do, they directly design the car on the paper, then they develop that. Develop means then they in design only, then they cut and unfold the car so that they can calculate the total material required for the manufacturing of that car. Because after getting the material requirement, we can do a number of things, a number of calculations, like we have to remove the wastage, from where we have to cut it from the raw material so that wastage should be minimized. Similarly, what is the cost? Means whenever we have to make the actual car, what will be the manufacturing cost of that car? Every industry who is going to launch their product, they always try to focus on the profit. How they get the profit? The sale price minus the manufacturing cost or whatever the handling charges or packaging charges or taxes. So collectively they find out what is the input cost and what is the output cost. So if the input cost is less than the output cost, they launch the product. So in the input cost means in their expenditure, the major part is manufacturing cost. So they are not going to make the actual object, they design it, after that they develop it and then they calculate what is the material requirement, and from material requirement they calculate what is the cost of a particular size of material or particular category of material, then they find out the cost. So in this way they do the cost estimation. Now we will see what are the areas where we use this development topic. In short, I can say development is required in every area of manufacturing, in your daily life, in your industry life. For example, manufacturing of ships, marines, aircrafts, automobiles. Whenever we have to manufacture all these, we cannot manufacture it directly. We have to develop them. Means in design, we have to find out the material required. So we apply the development process in the designing, in the manufacturing of these. Similarly, the manufacturing of laptops, gadgets and electronic components. For example, a laptop we have to generate, or we have to modify the existing laptop. Now we know that electronic component, they are having very small chips, and the cost of that chip varies a lot. With a small error in size, we may have to pay a lot of money. So in the electronic division also, we have to apply the development process. Construction of building or structures. For example, when you have to build a house, we call a contractor, and that contractor directly say we need these many number of bricks and packets of cement and sand and all. How they do this? No doubt they are having the experience, they know in this area this much material is required, but in their mind they have the calculation. You people, you can also do the same thing. What is the length of the wall which we have to construct, and what is the size of a single brick which you are going to plant there? Now you can calculate how many bricks are there which are required to make 4 walls and then same the roof. So in this way you can calculate, but in technical line we do it in the way of development. Similarly, the most common area where this topic is to be used, that is the sheet metal works. All the sheet metallic components, for example the bike fuel tanks, automobiles, outer body of the automobiles, few containers, AC ducts, boilers, industrial sheets and industrial roofs. In a number of areas where we have to apply the sheet metal, we use the development topic. Now let's see what are the various methods we use to develop a surface. We have parallel line method, radial line method and approximation method. These are very common methods which we use. So one by one we will discuss what are these methods. So let's start with the first, that is the parallel line method. Now what is the parallel line method? Parallel line method is that method with which we can develop a prism, cube and cylinder. I expect that everyone is knowing the shape of a prism, a cube and a cylinder. So these type of solids we develop with the help of parallel line method. It might be the normal prism or maybe the truncated or frustum of prism, but when the category of solid is a prism, then we apply the parallel line method. So just to remember this, why it is named as parallel line method or how to remember, so you can find out the similarity in these three solids. What is similar in these? We can say that all the face edges are parallel. Let's say this is a hexagonal prism. Now all these face edges, this face edge is parallel, this face edge is parallel, this face, you can see here this face edge is parallel to this face edge. Similarly this face edge is parallel to the other one. At the rear edges the same face edges. So all the face edges are parallel in this prism. So here in the cube also, these face edges, they are parallel to each other. We will not say the faces because faces are not parallel, faces are inclined to each other. In the case of cylinder also, these are the imaginary face edges named as generators. So these generators are parallel to each other. So in this way you can remember this name of this method, that is the parallel line method, very easily. Now the next one is radial line method. So the radial line method is that method with which we can develop a pyramid and cone. This pyramid or cone may have the truncated shape or the frustum shape, but still whenever the category of solid is a pyramid or a cone, we apply the radial line method. I told you, like a pyramid and cone. So what is the similarity in all these solids? All are having the apex, but in case of frustum or truncated pyramids or cone, the apex will be missing over there. but still when the category is cone or pyramid, we have to apply the radial line method. So you can see here all the face edges, these are the face edges, all the face edges are inclined to each other, not parallel, just like a prism or a cylinder. Moreover, these face edges, they are making an angle with the apex, so I can say they are having the radial structure, radial wave present in the solid with respect to apex. So that is why we apply the radial line method. Now come to the third, that is the approximation method. Approximation method is that method with which we can develop a sphere, hemisphere, or we can say the hemisphere. For example, whenever we have to construct a ball, if you have seen a cricket ball, a football, their size is fixed. We cannot change their size. Even in the case of football or cricket balls, weight of those balls are also fixed. We cannot change that. So whenever we have to design a ball, we calculate the material required, and moreover we calculate from where we have to stitch the ball so that we can get the same size as per required, or even the same weight as per required. So in the case of balls, we can say hemispheres, dome like structure like these type of dome theaters, we apply the approximation method. Now in approximation method we have the two methods. First is known as Liouville method, second is zone method. So as per the required, in this video I will teach you about the parallel line and radial line method. Approximation method, this theory is sufficient, but for parallel line and radial line we will go in deep in coming slides. Now whenever we have to solve a question of development of surface, first of all we should know this types of solids. It is very important to solve any numerical. For this purpose I have categorized the solid into these types. You can see here, first I can say it is having the category of prism, second a pyramid, or a solid of revolution. So one by one I'll tell you what is a prism, what is the technical definition of a prism. Prism is a solid which is having same shape and size of base and top. Both words are very important, which is having same shape and size of what? Of base and top. We can say, for example, a prism. Now you can see in a prism, this is a hexagonal prism. Now it is having same shape and size of base and top. So that is why it is the category of prism. Now pyramid. Pyramid is a solid which is having any shape at the base. Means it might be a pentagon, hexagon, square, triangle, rectangle, any shape at the base. But at the top it will have a apex like this. So whenever this type of solid with apex will come, then we say it is a pyramid, any shape at the base. Third, solid of revolution. Solid of revolution means whenever we are not having the direct solid like prism or pyramid, we are generating the solids. For example, if I have a rectangular surface, what I do, I just revolve the surface like this. Now let's say this is the center axis of this rectangular surface. I revolve the surface in this direction, means I rotate it. Whenever I rotate, the area swept by this surface, that will be a shape of circular. So that is why we say it will generate a cylinder. So this is known as solid of revolution. So cylinder is being generated from a rectangular surface. Similarly, we can say a surface like a cone, it is being generated from a triangular surface. So these type of solids, they are known as solids of revolution. These solids will not have any face edge, any base edge, any base corner, only it will have the generators, this one and this one. So we say generators are the imaginary face edges, not present in the object, but when we see, we can imagine them. Now we will see few more solids. We get these solids when we modify the solid. Means when we cut a solid, we get the two type of solid, frustum of solid and truncated solid. So what are these? When we cut a solid parallel to the base, then it is known as frustum of solid. For example, we have this. Now this is a cone and we cut this cone parallel to the base, from any point parallel to the base, and then we remove this part. After that, this remaining part, this one, it is known as frustum of cone. Similarly, truncated means when we cut a cone, we take the same example of a cone inclined to the base. This was the base, we cut it inclined, and this remaining object, this is known as truncated cone. Now it is not only the category of pyramid we are having frustum or a truncated, it might be a cylinder, it might be a prism. So any solid, either the prism or the pyramid or the cylinder or the cone, when we cut a solid parallel to the base, then it is known as frustum of that particular solid. When we cut it inclined to the base, then it is known as truncated of that particular solid. Now the very important point, how do we name any solid? Now the first one is pentagonal prism. Now I have taken example how we name any solid. Now whenever a word will come, pentagonal prism, we have to see that the first word, it will tell you the shape of the base. The second word, it will tell you the category of the solid. For example, in this we have taken pentagonal prism. So first word is telling you the shape of the base, means the shape of base is a pentagon. Category of solid, prism is the category of solid, and we have understood what is a prism, which is having same shape and size of base and top. So this type of solid is known as pentagonal prism. Pentagon at the base, same shape and size of base and top, that is the category of solid. We take one more example. Let's say a hexagonal pyramid. Hexagon, 6 sides for the base. Pyramid, category of solid. Pyramid means it will have a apex. So you can see this type, shape of base, that is a hexagon, and category of solid was a pyramid. Pyramid means a solid which will have apex. So this is known as hexagonal pyramid. In this way we name a solid. We take one more example, frustum of hexagonal pyramid. Now an additional word is there, that is frustum. Means what was the frustum? When we cut a solid parallel to the base, and then shape of base hexagon and category pyramid. So when we have this, we can say this is the frustum of hexagonal pyramid. Hexagon at the base, we have cut the object parallel to the base, and the remaining part is known as frustum of hexagonal pyramid, because initially it was a pyramid, it was having a apex which has been removed from the object. So this was a category of solid, that is the pyramid. Now we will discuss about the first, that is the parallel line method. In this we will see how we have to develop our surface. Now I told you in parallel line method we can develop a prism, cylinder, cube. So when we apply the method of development under parallel line, we have to cut and unfold. Basic is same. Development means cutting and unfolding. When I cut and unfold a hexagonal prism, I will have this type of shape, and this type of shape is obtained when we apply the parallel line method. If this is a hexagonal prism, so we will get the 6 faces. These are known as faces. Now why these faces are there? Because all the faces were parallel, or we can say the perpendicular. And why 6 only? Because it was a hexagon. Along with them we will get the base and top. So this is the top, and at this side there will be a base also. But when we have to say a word lateral surface, lateral means we have to develop the faces only, means these 6 faces we have to develop only. Then we say we have developed the lateral surface of the solid. Now this solid will have 6 faces, but it will have 7 face edges. If you count these face edges, it will be 7 in number. Why? Because when you cut, for example, you have cut this solid from this edge, from this base edge you cut, and after that you will unfold. You will take this surface on this side and this surface on this side. Now this face edge is now being divided into two parts, so that is why this face edge and this face edge, initially they were same. So when you join this edge and this edge, you will get the closed surface. So that is why it will have 7 face edges and 6 faces only. So this type of surface or this type of method is known as parallax method. We will explain it in deep. Now we take an example. Let's say we have a square prism. Now the square prism is having this type of shape, and first I'll tell you only the development of surface, then I will solve one numerical also. Now first of all we will draw the front view and top view of the object. So this is a square prism. It will have this type of shape with the length and width and height. So this is the front view, top view. When you develop this, you will have this type of surface. So in drawing, whenever in technical sheets, when we develop our object, we draw its front view. On the sheet we draw its top view, so that we can say how the areas are there, and when we develop, this part is known as development of surface. Now we will go in deeper how we have to do the numbering and how we have to do the dimensioning. So again I'm taking one example. It will be solved with the help of parallax method, and in this I will tell you how to do the numbering. For example, a rectangular prism is given. Now this rectangular prism is having the base corners 1 2 3 4. Remember that we always give the numbering to the base or top corners only. So let's say this rectangular prism is having 1 2 3 4 numerals at the base, and it is having A B C D alphabets at the top. Now we are watching the object from this side as given in the direction of arrow. It will give you the front view, a rectangular surface like this, and top view like this. We have covered this thing in the topic of orthography, so we are only applying the method of orthography. After this we have to do the numbering. Now if I say in this object, when you see from this side, from the arrow side, can you tell me which points will be visible? You can see the point 1 and 2 only in front view, here A and B only, but where this 3 and 4 will go? When you see from this side, 1 it will hide the point 4, 2 it will hide the point 3. So 3 and 2, 4 and 1, they will overlap. So in the front view we use the dash. I told you in orthography, when we have to write the front view of an object, we give the numbering with dashes, top view without dashes, side view with double dashes. So in the front view you can see the 1 dash 2 dash point, 3 dash and 4 dash not visible in the front view, so we are writing 3 dash 4 dash inside the front view, 1 dash 2 dash outside the front view. This is the front view, this rectangle is the front view. 1 dash outside the rectangle because it is visible, 2 dash outside the rectangle because it is visible, 3 and 4 not visible, 3 overlapping with 2 so inside, 4 overlapping with 1 so inside. Similarly at the top you can see AB only, so A dash B dash outside, C overlapping with B inside, similarly the point D. Now we will apply the same method in top view also. You can see A, B, C and D visible points, and numerals 1 2 3 4 not visible in the top view because they are at the base. From the top you cannot see, so they are coming inside the object. So this is the way how we do the numbering. Now we will see in development how we do the numbering. This is the developed area. I told you in our syllabus we will not cover the base and top, so I am not going to discuss about base and top, only the lateral surfaces. So when we develop a lateral surface, it will have the count. Let's say I have cut the object from this edge. I am cutting the object from 1A edge and unfolding. What is development? Cutting and unfolding. So I cut it from 1A edge, so it will have 1 2 3 4 and again 1, because I told you this edge now will be divided into two parts. When I will join 1 with 1, I will get the closed point here, base corner 1. So similarly at the top A, B, C, D and again A. So if I join 1A to each other, I will get the closed surface. So this is the way how we do the numbering. Now we will see how we do the dimensioning. You have to apply this same method for parallel line, for radial line, for approximation also even we use the same method, but you have to remember these two concepts, how we do numbering and how we do dimensioning. So let's say this object, it is having the dimension 60 as the height, 20 as the width and 30 as the length. So when you see the front view, you will see these dimensions. Front view you will see 60 height and 30 length, and top view you will see the 20. No need to give the same 30 again, we learn it in orthography. So when you develop this, the total length of the developed area, it will be n into b. N into b means how many number of sides and what is the size of each side. Now this rectangle, it is having 20 and 230, so 2 times 20, because it is having, you can see here, it is having 20 and 20, after that 30 and 30, so it is having 2 times 30, 2 times 20. So it will be, let's say when you cut it from 1a, first 1 to 2, so this is 1 to 2, so what is 1 to 2? 30. So you can say this is side 30. After that, what is the next side? 20, as this is a rectangle. If it is a square, then all sides will be equal. So this is again 30 and the next one is again 20. In this drawing it seems to be equal, but in actual it is like this, and then height will remain same as 60. So this is the way how we do dimensioning in a development of surface. So let's see now the next part, that is the radial line method. In radial line method, I have told you we have to develop a pyramid or a cone. When you develop a pyramid or a cone, it will have a apex point. Just try to imagine when we cut a pyramid, when we cut a pyramid from, let's say I have cut this pyramid from this edge. Now this edge will be taken into two directions, means we have to unfold that. When you unfold, the apex will remain same. So that is why this apex, it will remain, it will exist in the object like this. And as this is a hexagonal pyramid, base edges are there, so that is why base are having the straight edges. All the base edges, they are straight in shape like this. So when you cut a pyramid, it will have this type of shape, and this is known as radial line method. I'll show you one example. Let's say we have developed a pentagonal pyramid. So you can see here, this is the front view of a pentagonal, this is the top view of a pentagonal pyramid, apex, the lines joining with the base corners, having height h and base edge b. After that we have this slant height, and we use this slant height in the development of surface. Here also we are getting the straight edges because it is a pyramid. In case of cone, we will have the curve here, but here we are having the straight edges. So this is the same apex. Now what is the gap between a point O and O this, and 1 and why this line, what are these? I have explained all these in the coming videos. For more clarity, how we solve a radial line method, how we solve a parallel line method, you can watch those videos. I have explained, I have taken a number of objects, number of solids, and we have developed similarly how we develop a cut object, means sectioned object, or we can say the truncated or frustum solid, how we develop it with parallel line, radial line. I have explained all those in the coming videos. You can see for more clarity. Now we will see the same development of surface in animation mode. So let's say this is the same object I have taken. Development means cutting and unfolding. So we are cutting the object from any edge. After that we have to unfold, unwrap or unroll like this. So when I cut and unfold, it will give me the surface like this. It will have the faces and face edges, base and top. Now if I talk about the faces, it will have 1, 2, 3 and then 4 faces. Now why it is having 4 faces? Because it was a square prism. Similarly the base and top. When we talk about the lateral surface, then we have only the faces. So in reverse, if I bend the sheet from this, I will get the same 3D object. So when we design an object, we cut and unfold in design. If I take the same question in this form, how we are going to solve this on sheet? So let's say this is the front view, a square, top view, a rectangle. Now that was the 3D object. Now you have to do this thing in imagination. In the pictorial view, if you are developing, means you are cutting and unfolding. So let's say we have cut the object like this, and after cutting we are unfolding the object in this form. Now if I have to make the developed area, it will be like this. So it depends in which direction you are seeing. Like here it is having 4 faces. Now why I have made it along with the top view? Because we were watching the object from a different point, so different side was given as the front view. That is why I have drawn the object like this. So it is having 4 faces as I have shown you. In the previous part of the video I have given the different way to give the numbering. So in this I am just showing you how we have to represent the faces and face edges. Now we can say the same, one more example for a hexagonal prism. Let's say when we bend the sheet in this direction from the face edges, then we get the solid surface like this. So when we have to manufacture a hexagonal prism, we use that method. For that thing we use parallel line and radial line. For this the same topic, development. So parallel line method, I told you that method with which we can develop a cylinder, prism, cube, where the face edges are parallel to each other. In radial line method we have to develop a pyramid and cone. It might be having any shape of pyramid, square, pentagon, hexagon, whatever, but it should have a apex. So these type of solids we develop with the radial line method, because it is having apex, and moreover all the face edges are radial to the apex. We take an example of a hexagonal prism with parallel line method like this, and same we show a hexagonal pyramid radial line method like this. So you can see the difference very easily. Parallel line method having parallel things, parallel face edges. Radial line method is having radial face edges. Now whenever the case is for a cylinder, we will not have any face edge. Similarly for a cone, we will not have any face edge. In that we say we are actually rolling the object, or we can say unroll the object to get the actual area. We'll take one example. Let's say a hexagonal prism is there and base edge is 60, height is 150. It is placed on HP on its base, one base edge parallel to VP. So when it is placed on HP, you cannot see any gap from front view from XY line. So it is having arbitrary gap. In some of the questions it will be given in the question, but if it is not, you can take any gap. So let's say we are cutting the object at a given point on axis at 45 angle on axis like this. Now this is the imaginary cutting plane which I am showing you. So I have bisected the height. It is passing from the midpoint. Now in 3D I can show you this will be the sectioned object, or we can say the truncated hexagonal prism. Now this will be the actual object, but how we have to draw this? We do the numbering in top view. Similarly we do the numbering in front view. This is the section line. This section line is intersecting with the face edges. This is the point from which the section plane has passed at 45 degree. So these are the points where the section line is intersecting with face edges. Now we have to make this type of structure. It will be the length, as it was a hexagon, so it will be 6 times to the base edge. So I'll show you this. Development means cutting and unfolding. When you cut, it will have the total surface, the total base edges, it will expand like this, or we can say it is having the stretch out line from the base edges of prism. What is the dimension? You can say base edge was 60, so it will have 160 base edge and then 6 times 60. So n into b, 6 is the number of sides and 60 is the base edge size of one base edge. Similarly 150 was the height In the developed area, no doubt we have the truncated object. Still it will have 150 height, which is required for the raw material, and in this side also. So we can say we need a rectangle of 360 by 150 to make this type of structure. So I can show you here. I have marked the same 66 sides. Then we will take very light projection lines because they are modified. We have to cut it. At last we will dark it. Always keep you in your mind what will be the object. Means you can see I have shown that very light colored area, what will be the actual remaining part. Now how we have to get that surface? You can take the projection line from all the intersection points of section line and face edges. I can do the numbering here. I have shown you all these things in other videos where I have drawn the diagram on sheet. In actual I have shown you. Now after this, after getting the points in the developed area, all these are the light colored things. Now we have to darken this edge, straight line between the 2 points. Then we can close the surface and we will get this shape. Now you can see very easily, this was the structure. If I join 1A with 1A, I will get the same closed truncated hexagonal prism. So this is the development. In the same way, we will have the development in radial structure.